everyone, this is the commentary for Vision 4 of 7 of Esdras. If you need any of these prior slides, go ahead and watch my first commentary video. We go through those in more detail. If you need to stop and take a look at them, that's great. So tonight we are going into the first dream, but it's the fourth vision, technically, of the 7 visions of Esdras. So here's the summaries of the first 3 visions. You can go ahead and stop on those if you need a refresher. So I'm going to give the summary of everything that happened in the 4th vision. So if that's all you need, go ahead and stop right after this slide. Afterward, I'm going to be going throughout the conversation and giving commentary on it. So in the 4th vision, Esdras is, well, first of all, precursor to this, after the 3rd vision, Uriel told Esdras to go into a field and pray and wait there. So in the dream that he begins to have while he's sitting in the field, he is in another field in the dream, and this time there's a woman next to him, and the woman is mourning. The woman says that she's been barren for 30 years. She finally conceived and bore a son, and the son grew up and was nourished with great travail, but he died on his wedding night. The woman is so sad that she says she's going to fast and mourn in this field until she dies. So Esdras kind of rebukes / comforts her. It's a very interesting dichotomy. I don't know if this is the intended meaning of what Esdras is really dreaming about. I think that there might be some things lost in translation throughout the King James Version here. But regardless, we're going to go through it and word for word take what Esdras says to her and apply it. So in his rebuke, he sounds pretty harsh and is rebuking the woman for mourning over just one son when they've lost many people in the captivity of Babylon. And here she is mourning for one son. So he tells her to kind of buck up and get over it. And then after he does this, the woman transforms into a great city, and it shakes and troubles Esdras greatly because it's with a great loud sound. It's kind of a groaning sound, and it's just all of the sudden he's talking to a woman, and then all of a sudden this huge city is there. It troubles him so greatly that he cries out to Uriel for help. What does this mean? It scared him so much. So Uriel comes and tells him the interpretation of the dream. The woman is Zion, and she was barren for 30 years, symbolically, prior to Solomon. Solomon was raised up and began to offer offerings in righteousness in the city of Jerusalem, and that Solomon represents the son that was finally born to the woman. And then it was with great travail that was nourished until he grew up. But on his wedding night, it symbolizes the destruction of Jerusalem when they were carried captive into Babylon. And so this transformation into a new city is a future event for the city of Jerusalem. So now let's dive into the actual dream here. So in the interlude between visions 3 and 4, we have just Esdras by himself. It says, "So I went my way into the field which is called Ardith, like as he commanded me, and there I sat among the flowers and did eat of the herbs of the field, and the meat and the same satisfied me. After 7 days I sat upon the grass, and my heart was vexed within me like as before. And I opened my mouth and began to talk before the Most High, and said, O Lord, thou that shewedst thyself, thou wast showed unto our fathers in the wilderness in a place where no man treadeth, in a barren place, when they came out of Egypt. And thou spakest, saying, Hear me, O Israel, and mark my words, thou seed of Jacob. For behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you, and ye shall be honored in it forever. But our fathers, which received the law, kept it not, and observed not thine ordinances. And though the fruit of the law did not perish, neither could it, for it was thine, Yet they that received it perished, because they kept not the thing that was sown in them. And lo, it was a custom, when the ground hath received seed, or the sea a ship, or any vessel meat or drink, that being perished wherein it was sown or cast into, that thing also which was sown or cast therein or received doth perish, and remaineth not with us, but with us it hath not happened so. For we that have received the law perish by sin, and our heart also which received it. Notwithstanding, the law perisheth not, but remaineth in his force. So now it branches into the actual dream itself. And when I spake these things in my heart, I looked back with mine eyes, and upon the right side I saw a woman, and behold, she mourned and wept with a loud voice, and was much grieved in heart, and her clothes were rent, and she had ashes upon her head. Then let I my thoughts go that I was in, and turned me unto her, and said unto her, Wherefore weepest thou? Why art thou so grieved in thy mind? So think back to our symbolism class. I've bolded some different symbolic elements there. The right side, a woman, rent, and ashes. What do those things mean? What could they possibly portray in this vision? And she said unto me, Sir, let me alone, that I may bewail myself and add unto my sorrow. For I am sore vexed in my mind, and brought very low. And I said unto her, What aileth thee? Tell me. She said unto me, I, thy servant, have been barren, and had no child, though I had an husband 30 years. And those 30 years I did nothing else day and night and every hour, but make my prayer to the highest. After 30 years God heard me, thine handmaid, and looked upon my misery, considered my trouble, and gave me a son. And I was very glad of him. So was my husband also, and all my neighbors, and we gave great honor unto the Almighty. And I nourished him with great travail. So when he grew up and came to the time that he should have a wife, I made a feast. So again, I've bolded some of the symbolic elements that can play throughout this vision. And so it came to pass that when my son was entered into his wedding chamber, he fell down and died. Later, we find out that it was from a fail, so a heart attack. Then we all overthrew the lights, and all my neighbors rose up to comfort me. So I took my rest unto the second day at night. And it came to pass, when they had all left off to comfort me, to the end I might be quiet, then rose I up by night, and fled, and came hither into this field, as thou seest. And I do now propose not to return into the city, but here to stay, and neither to eat nor drink, but continually to mourn and to fast until I die. Which is interesting, because this is exactly what Uriel told Esdras to do. To go into the field and to fast. And to ponder about the things that he had seen. So the woman, Sion, Ezra is kind of being prepared in the same exact manner as he's seen the woman. Then left I the meditations wherein I was, and spake to her in anger, saying, Thou foolish woman, above all other, seest thou not our mourning, and what happened unto us? How that Zion our mother is full of all heaviness, and much humbled, mourning very sore? And now, seeing we all mourn and are sad, for we all in heaviness, art thou grieved for one son? For ask the earth, and she shall tell thee, that it is she who ought to mourn for the fall of so many that grow upon her. For out of her came all at the first, and out of her shall all others come, and behold, they walk almost all into destruction, and a multitude of them is utterly rooted out. Who then should make more mourning than she, that hast lost so great a multitude? And not thou, which art sorry but for one? But if thou sayest unto me, My lamentation is not like the earth's, because I have lost the fruit of my womb, which I have brought forth with pains and bear with sorrows, but the earth not so, for the multitude present in it, according to the course of the earth, is gone as it came. Then say I unto thee, like as thou hast brought forth with labor, even so the earth also hath given her fruit, namely man, ever since the beginning unto him that made her. So the woman is actually giving Esdras the same excuses that Esdras was giving to Uriel in a previous vision. So it's kind of coming back to, not to haunt him, but as kind of a symbolic rebuke of, um, you were thinking this just a little while ago, and now you're condemning her for seeing the same thing. It's a very interesting dichotomy as we ponder upon the first three visions of Esdras and Uriel, and now with this woman, he's taking a different role and expounding upon that. So now, therefore, keep thy sorrow to thyself, and bear with a good courage that which hath befallen thee. For if thou shalt acknowledge the determination of God to be just, thou shalt both receive thy son in time, and shalt be commended among women. Go thy way into the city to thy husband. And she said unto me, That will I not do. I will not go into the city, but here will I die. So, if this woman is Zion, and she is in the field, in her destruction, desolation, in her captivity, the woman wants to die in captivity, which is interesting, as we'll see. So I proceeded to speak unto her, and said, Do not so, but be counseled by me. For how many are the adversities of Zion? Be comforted in regard to the sorrow of Jerusalem. For thou seest that our sanctuary is laid waste, our altar broken down, and our temple destroyed. Our psaltery is laid on the ground, our song is put to silence, our rejoicing is at an end. The light of our candlestick is put out, the ark of our covenant is spoiled. Our holy things are defiled, and the name that is called upon us is almost profaned. Our children are put to shame, our priests are burnt, our Levites are gone into captivity, our virgins are defiled, and our wives ravished, our righteous men carried away, our little ones destroyed, our young men are brought into bondage, and our strong men are become weak. And which is the greatest of all? The seal of Sion has now lost her honor, for she is delivered into the hands of them that hate us. And therefore, shake off thy great heaviness, and put away this multitude of sorrows, that the mighty may be merciful unto thee again, and the highest shall give thee rest and ease from thy labor. And it came to pass, while I was talking with her, behold, her face upon a sudden shined exceedingly, and her countenance glistered, so that I was afraid of her, and mused what it might be. And behold, suddenly she made a great cry, very fearful, so that the earth shook at the noise of the woman. And I looked, and I beheld, and the woman appeared unto me no more, but there was a city builded, and a large place showed itself from the foundations. Then was I afraid, and cried with a loud voice, and said, Where is Uriel the angel, who came unto me at the first? For he hath caused me to fall into many trances, and mine end is turned into corruption, and my prayer to rebuke. And I was speaking these words, behold, he came unto me, and looked upon me. And lo, I lay as one that had been dead, and my understanding was taken from me. And he took me by the right hand, and comforted me, and set me upon my feet, and said unto me, What aileth thee? Why art thou so disquieted? And why is thy understanding troubled, and the thoughts of thine heart? And I said, Because thou hast forsaken me, and yet I did according to thy words. I went into the field, and lo, I have seen, and yet see, that I am not able to express. And he said unto me, Stand up manfully, and I will advise thee. I love that. I think that's one of my favorite parts of all of Esdras. Be a man, get up, and I'll show you what the interpretation is here. Then said I, Speak on, my lord. In me only forsake me not, lest I die frustrate of my hope. For I have seen that I know not, and hear that I do not know. Or is my sense deceived, or my soul in a dream? Now, therefore, I beseech thee that thou wilt shew thy servant of this vision. He answered me then, and said, Hear me, and I shall inform thee, and tell thee wherefore thou art afraid. For the highest will reveal many secret things unto thee. He hath seen that thy way is right, for that thou sorrowest continually for thy people, and makest great lamentation for Sion. This therefore is the meaning of the vision which thou lately sawest. Thou sawest a woman mourning, and thou beganest to comfort her. It doesn't sound like much comforting. He was trying, but he was kind of rebuking, in anger almost. But now thou seest the likeness of a woman no more, but there appeared unto thee a city builded, and whereas she told thee of the death of her son, this is the solution. This woman whom thou sawest is Zion. So in the vision, in the dream, Esdras was telling the woman, oh, Zion has the cause to mourn, not thee. But she actually was Zion, and she was mourning for the same things that Esdras was mourning for. Whereas I say, she said unto thee, that she hath been 30 years barren. Those are the 30 years wherein there was no offering made in her. But after 30 years, Solomon builded the city and offered offerings, and then bare the barren a son. And whereas she told thee that she nourished him with labor, that was the dwelling in Jerusalem. And whereas she said unto thee that my son coming into his marriage chamber happened to have a fail and died, this was the destruction that came to Jerusalem. And behold, thou sawest her likeness, and because she mourned for her son, thou beganest to comfort her. And of these things which have chanced, these are to be opened unto thee. For now the Most High seeth that thou art grieved unfeignedly, which is an interesting turn of events, because it sounds like he was rebuking her, but Esdras was grieving unfeignedly. That's a very important point here. And sufferest from thy whole heart for her. So hath he showed thee the brightness of her glory and the comeliness of her beauty. And therefore I bade thee remain in the field where no house was builded, for I knew that the highest would show this unto thee. Therefore I commanded thee to go into the field where no foundation of any building was. For in the place wherein the highest beginneth to show his city, there can no man's building be able to stand. And therefore fear not, let not thy heart be affrighted, but go thy way in, and see the beauty and greatness of the building, as much as thine eyes be able to see. So what is Uriel telling him in verse 55? I think that's very interesting. So, don't be afraid, but go in. Go back into the dream, go back into the vision, and behold the beauty. What are you seeing here, Ezra? And then thou shalt hear as much as thine ears may comprehend. For thou art blessed above many other, and art called with the highest, and so are but few. But tomorrow at night thou shalt remain here, and so shall the highest show thee visions of the high things, which the Most High will do unto them that dwell upon the earth in the last days. So here we have a timeline of Ezra in the context of the whole dispensation of Moses. You can see at the top, the very top color band is that aqua kind of blue, and that is the dispensation of Moses. And so this timeline right here is the full dispensation of Moses, from the Exodus in Egypt to Christ's ministry. So we can see that the dot on the bottom of the timeline and up on the middle timeline, we can see where Esdras is at. And then the 4 other dots prior to Esdras is the important points of this vision, the woman Zion. So when she was barren, the birth of the son, the Solomon, the nourished with travail, and then when the son dies, that's when they go into captivity. That's the destruction of Jerusalem. So, in comparison with other major dreams, we have Ezra's woman, Zion, the very top one there. We can see where that's at on the timeline, and compare it with Ezra's other visions, and with Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar, and John from the book of Revelation. In context, Ezra's vision of the woman Zion is much prior. So, what did Uriel promise Ezra at the very end here? He knew that the Lord was going to show him this vision, and then he tells him, "For thou art blessed above many other, and art called with the highest, and so are but few. Tomorrow at night thou shalt remain here, and so shall the highest show thee visions from the high things." So apparently this is part of the low things. So he's going to tell him high things and what's going to happen on the earth in the last days. And that's where we're going to head into Ezra's eagle, the popular vision that everybody's talking about. So we're just going to end right there on this timeline of the major dreams, and we'll pick up here when we start the next video on Ezra's Eagle.